Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Curseof and welcome back to another video. And welcome to the first of many in the long line of this season's Is This Viable? It's been over a year since Is This Viable has been a thing, because it's been over a year since we got a product. But we're going back to our roots, and we have none other than the original person who was with me on this series, and you can actually see him now. He's right there, or on the other side. I don't know which side I'm putting him on, but he's
in the face, in the flesh.
Without any further ado, as you guys can see on the screen here, for today's Is This Viable, we're going to be going over Destiny and Dragoon.
Yugioh! Dragoon the end!
And just to cover this card's effect, it is a fusion of Plasma and Dogma, two of the most iconic monsters.
Two big
ever.
boys.
The two big boys.
Two big boys.
And it's better than Red Eyes Dragoon in every possible way.
Obviously, yes.
But for speed duels, honestly, it's absolutely absurd. It can pop a monster, it burns based on the attack that it had on field. Can't conduct your battle phase that turn. That's not a problem. It has a 3k defense, and the big thing here, if your opponent removes it, you revive it next turn.
Yep. Now you guys may be thinking, but guys, it's not consistent, is it? Well.
Well.
You see, some testing, and we had a lot of different iterations of the deck.
Yes.
But we ended up here. And it turns out that you only need to summon Dragoon once, and you only need to activate Fusion Party once to do that. So that's your skill, and the rest of the deck is just really to A, draw into your Dragoon combo, or literally help Dragoon stay alive and or win.
Yeah, so we have obviously cards like Cosmic and such, especially going into games 2 and 3 when the sideboard becomes a thing. Taking care of things that are in this deck's sideboard, such as Defusion and Lost Wind, is absolutely huge. Same thing with Book of Moon, helps against both of these cards as well as Offerings to the Doomed. And Breaker pops back row. I mean, you know, it's just a normal summon in a deck that you don't need a normal summon in because you're summoning Dragoon as a special summon.
Yeah.
Why would you not play Breaker? Plus allure targets. We have triple allures to make this deck just that much more consistent.
I mean, and that's how we started. We started making the deck very pure. We weren't playing Breaker and Dekoichi and Book. And we were like, wait, but you have to play staples. So yeah.
Exactly.
If there's anything you learned in this video, you have to play staples.
Yeah, you have your 5-card Moth Answer here. Honestly, I think the deck is pretty self-explanatory. It's a bunch of draw cards, a bunch of staples, allure targets, and your Dragoon materials here, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
It does make
Going
sense.
into the sideboard here, though, Santa Claus, I don't want to go too in detail what this is for. You'll find out later on in the series. But why don't you go over the rest here, Terramaster? Why don't you explain the rest here for them?
Well, of course. Okay, so you need Defusion because one is GX, so fusions are going to happen, right? Even the mirror match you need Defusion for.
Exactly.
You need Defusion for unions, like you already do, right? There's Lost Wind, which also helps against both fusion monsters and union, and anything else that's special summon. You know, King of Skull Servants is a victim of that unintentionally.
Yes.
There's a lot of stuff. Mind Crush is mostly for Parasite from cards we already have in Speed Duels, but it's also good for another thing, which we'll talk about later, like the Santa Claus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously here we have some cards going towards certain matchups in this deck, so why don't we go ahead and jump into the matchups, and let's start with the big boy in the room, the deck that everyone loves, Moth.
Yeah, everyone loves this deck. It's a very fair, very balanced deck. Has been for 2 years.
Fan favorite.
Fan favorite, that's right. Never needed any kind of an errata or ban.
No,
it's perfect just the way it is.
It is, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
It just wins every win-a-box. Okay, so the Moth matchup, actually talking about it, actually turned out to be really good. Much better than we even expected it to be.
Yeah, I mean, we thought the Moth matchup was going to be a bit more of an issue than it ended up being, and a lot of this is because of the errata to the skill as well. Unless they already have 500 damage on board, they're not going to be able to OTK you through Dragoon, and Dragoon just comes back next turn and burns them for 3,500, and they've spent their skill.
Right. Exactly. And think about how good that is, right? They parasite, and usually, like, that's it. Like, how do you come back from that, right?
Yeah.
But here, the monster that they parasited literally does the coming back for you. Like, in that it comes back on the field, and it also makes the comeback in the duel because it can then just destroy Moth and burn for 3,500.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally just a free pop every single turn that
Every single
burns.
turn.
And going back to something that me and Terramaster talked about a little while ago, this deck doesn't need its normal summon. So you very easily just set a Takoichi or even a Breaker on the same turn, and you're not taking that 3,500 to the face. So even if they have a second monster, if they end phase Zomud or whatever, they still probably will not OTK you because the deck doesn't need its normal summon to facilitate its boss monster.
Nope, it doesn't. And on top of that, what's so good about Dragoon is that, fine, say they book it or something, right? And they run it over with Moth again. That's fine. You have Dogma and Plasma engraved. It actually is 2 guaranteed revives.
It is, exactly.
Think about how hard that is for them to stop with having just one Moth summon, and then, you know, that's it. That's their entire, like... There was literally a game that we're going to show. It might have already finished, where you had double Moth.
Literally
and
double Moth.
And I still won. So, like, yes, this deck, it took a lot of, like, messing around, but we finally found a version that works.
Yeah, no, this version works very, very well, and this is not even looking at any potential skills that we're going to get in the Battle City box, and not only just skills, this is less than half of these spoilers.
So we could actually get something that makes this deck even better, and you've already seen how well it competes. It beats the current meta. So just, you know, it looks good. GX box looks good. Not every single card and every single archetype, we'll go into that, but if you find the right Destiny Heroes to play like we did here, then Destiny Heroes is good, because you know, it's Dragoon.
No, it's very, very good, and there actually might be a replay that either has already shown, or if it hasn't, I'll put it up here for you guys now, where Terramaster actually summons Plasma, but it's relevant. It wins him the game. Yes.
Plasma is your late game secondary win con, where, okay, they're stalling out, you know, Dragoon, say they hit Lost Winded it, and you can't draw your Book of Moon. You can't find your Book of Moon. It's gone, right? And they're just sitting there trying to stall, deck you out, whatever. You're playing a stall deck. We know there's a lot of people in this community that love to play stall. So that's happening, right? So what are you going to do? That's fine. You can just tribute all three of, you can just set a Dekoichi, draw, summon a Breaker, and now you can summon Plasma off the 3 tributes.
Yeah, Plasma, once again, is a special summon.
Yes, it's a special summon. So you normal and then drop Plasma on top of that. But that's not all, guys. Dragoon's in the graveyard now.
Yeah.
It comes back the next turn.
It comes back.
You don't
just
even have
2
to
boss
win
monsters.
with Plasma. Yes, you have Plasma. You can have Plasma and Dragoon both. It's literally the best anti-stall strategy we've had in a long time. Like, your opponent could literally kaiju Dragoon and he doesn't care. He's like, I'm still coming back. You know that, right?
Literally, Santa Claus does nothing. He just comes back, and now I have a Santa Claus to work with too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Thank
Good
you.
job.
I appreciate the free Christmas gift.
Yeah, but going off into Dragoon's next matchup, which actually worked out the opposite way as Moth. We expected Unions to be the matchup that it was better against, but actually turned out being potentially the more difficult one.
Yeah, it really came down to that. It would always end up in a grind game, at least games 2 and 3, right?
Yes.
Because
side decks.
Side decks, which is Lost Wind and Defusion. And because of that, I will admit I made a mistake in that I sided out Book of Moon. So don't side out Book of Moon against Unions. I'm already giving you strategies on how to play this deck. don't side out Book of Moon against Unions. And if you do that, then it won't matter. But say that grind game still somehow happens, right? Unions do have a small advantage in that. Because, one, you're drawing more than them, so you will deck out first. So your only win con at that point in the grind game is to get that Plasma off, and I couldn't get it early enough. By the time I got it, it was too late.
Yeah, exactly, right? And the thing with Unions is that they are a deck that can go into the grind game so easily with their skill and Union combination, with the triple scramble, and the ability to keep on activating their hanger. They can really quickly amass more resources and summon out more boss monsters. So although you have a monster that can keep on coming back, if they negate it and you don't have an answer, there's not much you can do. If they have multiple answers, then you just can't win. It basically just going into the grind game, if they do manage to either just stop Dragoon or out Dragoon 3 times, the deck obviously, well, it can't come back. The reason this deck isn't as bad being the one-trick pony is because of Dragoon's recursion effect, right?
Right. So if there's anything we would want out of the rest of the box, is something to solve that one weakness, right? For this deck in specifically, is make it better in the long game, in the grind game. Give us something to do a second Dragoon, right? Another Destiny Hero skill, not the one we already know about, allegedly. But the other, so the other one needs to be something to, make Plasma better or make Dragoon himself better. Just so there's a little bit more late game is what the deck needs.
Definitely, yeah. But overall, Terramaster, this was your deck. I'm going to ask you the question. Is this viable?
You goddamn right.
Hell yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, episode number 1. We have a viable deck for you guys. Destiny and Dragoon will enter the meta in some capacity.
Confirmed.
But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, head down to the description. There will be a link to the Team JDG YouTube channel, where both Justice and Terramaster are over there making Master Duel and Speed Duel content. Highly recommend you guys check them out. But me and Terramaster will definitely be back with another Is This Viable for you guys, potentially tomorrow. Anyway, that's a wrap, guys. Peace.